The locals, of course, were cheering on the Ferraris, but they would have to overtake the two McLarens on the front row of the grid, with Ayrton Senna making the better start from Alain Prost. On the long drag up to Tosa, Nigel Mansell was right up behind the McLarens and looking for a way past. Tigering from either side of the track, he was trying to pass Alain Prost, but never quite made it. Senna from Prost then Mansell, and then Riccardo Patrese. Riding with Eddie Cheever, we could see just how busy it was in midfield. Senna led then from Alain Prost in second place. Then Nigel Mansell, Riccardo Patrese, Gerhard Berger and Thierry Boutsen.
And then the moment Ivan Capelli locked up and smote those concrete walls on the outside. But then came the moment of horror when we all froze as Gerhard Berger ploughed straight on into the barriers at 180 miles per hour, and worse was to come as the car exploded into flames and nobody believed he could have survived. But miraculously he did, and thanks to a strong Ferrari chassis and energetic fire marshals, it took 16 seconds from the Ferrari coming to a halt to the first extinguisher going off, and 10 seconds more for the fire to be put out. The car had been virtually on full fuel tanks when it exploded, but then the red flag was put out and the race was stopped. And we were all amazed at the lightness of Berger's injuries compared to the severity of the accident. Some burns to hands and back and some broken ribs, but what had he remembered?
I remember everything. Okay, everything, but I remember I get some technical problems in the car went straight, and the big bang until the moment where that's the wall. I remember everything, and after I sleep a little bit because I was tired.
Well, that was the resilient Gerhard talking just 2 weeks after the accident. The Austrian was brave as ever, but very fortunate. Yet Mansell also deserved a commendation, for he drove the other Ferrari half an hour later in the restart, not knowing what had caused Berger's crash.
So the cars formed up on the grid again for the restart. And this time it was Alain Prost who made by far the better getaway. Watch Prost pulling away ahead of Senna. So it was Prost from Senna, then Patrese, then Nannini and Mansell hanging in there. Prost from Senna, going up towards Tosa, but then Senna pulled up alongside. And that overtaking manoeuvre would have severe repercussions almost for the rest of the season. But for the moment, the two McLarens pulled away, with Ayrton Senna in command from Alain Prost. Out of the race went Stefano Modena, crashing just where Ivan Capelli had crashed before him. Third-placed Riccardo Patrese was overtaken by Nigel Mansell and promptly pulled off with a timing problem. But Mansell wasn't to last much longer. His gearbox broke, and as he pulled off, so the Italians left the circuit. Alain Prost even had time for this quick spin, but he kept the engine running and rejoined, even though he'd actually missed the corner itself.
Well, it was an uncharacteristic error from Alain Prost, but even missing the corner didn't stop him carrying on to take second place. Now, Eddie Cheever was very lucky to miss Nicola Larini in front of him. Seen from his camera on board the Arrow, suddenly Larini's rear suspension broke up as the Osella ploughed into the concrete wall, and Cheever missed him just by a few fractions. Nicola Larini got out slowly from his Osella because he could not work out what had happened. Had Cheever pushed him, looks at the rear, sees some of the damage and perhaps figured it out. In the meantime, Ayrton Senna, going so well as he had done during the testing here at San Marino, took victory in round 2 of the World Championship.
So Senna won from Prost. Boutsen scored Williams-Renault's first points, although only after a protest against initial exclusion after changing a punctured tyre in the pit lane. Palmer brought the new Tyrrell home in the points. On the rostrum, however, all was not well. The Cold War had restarted. Prost was livid with Senna for having broken that agreement that the pair had over the first corner, Whoever led would not be overtaken by second man. Senna's overtaking manoeuvre clearly knocked that agreement for 6.